Okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. We're going to continue. We just started the series last week on the 12 principles of spirituality. I want to kind of start off today by doing one of my very favorite readings, and it's from the Big Book of AA. And most of you know it as page 417. It's on acceptance. Acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, or thing, or a situation, some fact in my life unacceptable to me. I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, and thing as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, happens in God's world by mistake. Until I could accept my disease, I could not stay sober. Unless I accept life completely on life's terms, I cannot be happy. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and in my attitudes. I always love that reading from the Big Book because to me, it kind of summarizes a lot of what I want to talk about as I get into these principles of spirituality. Because to me, what I'm trying to do here is take these principles of the 12 steps and basically apply them to our daily, everyday living life, to give us principles to live by and ways in which we can live a more peaceful and a more serene life. And so what I want to do basically is I want to concentrate on the foundation principles today, which are acceptance, faith, and trust. They're all based on the first 3 steps of the program. I've learned over the years in my own life, and I have to share this kind of on a personal level, because I shared this before. When I was a priest, I really could not understand a lot of these principles. You know, I functioned very well as a priest, and I did a lot of good. But really, in reality, I was living in my own little world and doing a lot of avoiding because I was scared. And I know 2 of the biggest things in the world that would drive us crazy and make us all nuts, and the 2 enemies we have to work on, are control and fear. Control is a way in which many of us have tried to avoid life and not deal with life. We try to control it, we try to organize it. And the other way is basically fear. Fear of getting found out, fear of not being able to handle situations. These 2 things are the 2 obstacles that keep us from moving forward. The spiritual principles really help us to break these obstacles and begin to do a lot of growing. The word acceptance to me is one that, to me, I always say this over and over again, to me is the ultimate spiritual word on the face of this earth. Because to me, only until we come to an acceptance of the reality of what is, we're able then to deal with it and be able to work through with it. But the hardest part in life is coming to that acceptance. Because many times in life, I don't want things to be what they are. And we can take that on a lot of levels, physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially, whatever happens in life. Because everything in life is always in constant process of change. Things are always moving in new directions. And one of the things we try to do a lot of times, especially if you're a card-carrying codependent like I am, we have a tendency very many times to try to keep things the way we want them. You notice, though, it doesn't work that way? It's amazing. You come right down to it. And so we learn after a while that, yes, part of acceptance is powerlessness, surrender, and realizing the fact that there's so much in life I have no control over. And that goes for the world we live in as well as for our own personal world. I joke about this today, but I have to share it anyway. But a long time ago, when I was ordained a priest, I was 26 years old. When I ordained a priest, I had this fixation in my mind that I was going to fix and save the whole world. I had this energy inside of me. Well, I gave it a shot. It kind of wore me down a little bit. So in 1972, I had a nervous breakdown. During my breakdown, I decided that I was tired, so I tried just to save the United States. And then after going through a couple of other addictions, I finally found out, maybe I'll just work on New Jersey. New Jersey needs it bad anyway. So finally, It took me 44 years of my life to come to the realization I have no control over any of that. The only person I can work on, the only person I can grow, and that's where I had to go on my own journey of discovering my own spirituality, is myself. And these are the words of the Serenity Prayer. We hear this over and over and over again. But these words are very powerful. And so the word acceptance means that I have to work through things in life, come to peace with them, come to serenity with them, come to calmness with them, even though I may not like some of the things I have to do. And that's okay too. I've learned over the years, things are not always going to go the way you wanted them to go. But in that reading, it said, everything in this world we live in our own selves, happens in God's time, not in our time. You know, it's interesting because this morning in my meditation book, The Language of Letting Go, the reading was on patience today. And one of the hardest things I have to do in life is to work on that. That's something I'll probably have to work on for the rest of my life. Because being addictive as I am and being compulsive, I basically want things to happen right away. We learn to just be quiet, to let go, to trust. And that's where the idea of faith comes into play. Because we have to come to a point in our journey when we realize we're not alone. I don't know about you, but I spent too much of my time trying to figure things out, living within my own little world. We need one another. We need people in our life. We need to be part of the world, connected to others, be part of the journey of other people in life. Because what's so important is to realize this process. And so faith means I have to come to some sort of a belief. Faith is belief, belief in something greater than me, belief in a higher power, a God of my understanding, something that will work for me, because let's face the facts of life. The world we live in, there has to be something greater, something more beautiful that's guiding us and staying with us if we have the sense of our own spirit and we're in touch with our spirit. And I realize this because, again, I share on a personal level. You know, for the first 44 years of my life, even though I studied theology, I have degrees after my name, all that kind of stuff, I never understood spirituality. I never understood what it meant to be a spiritual person. I was too busy just being a religious person without the spirituality. I had no idea who I was, no sense of myself at all. Why did God put us on this earth? To come to a knowledge of ourselves as an individual, to learn these spiritual principles, to learn to live by them. But to do that, we need help, we need guidance, and we need direction. That's why the other word that I find so powerful when it comes to spirituality, even in the steps, is the word we. There's no I, it's we. We're interconnected with one another. We learn and we grow from each other. We're all part of the world we live in. And no matter what happens, we have to realize the fact that it's not healthy just to be on your own little world. We have to interconnect with things around us, with people around us. I have so much gratitude today for the rooms of recovery. I have so much gratitude for the people in my life. I have so much gratitude for so many things in my life, as I shared with you last week, because I realized today, all these people in my life are messengers, they're teachers. They come into my life for a purpose. I got to try to be open to them. I got to trust, I got to let go. I have to stop trying to control everything and be in charge of everything. And I love that concept because one of the things I've learned over the years, and I share this with you because the thing I've learned in recovery, I'm grateful for it today. I'm also grateful for Starting Point and how Starting Point came to be. And I know that everything in life is based on faith. You know, Loretta and I get into this a lot of times, and I love her. But we also get into my board of directors. But I really believe there's something powerful and beautiful about the spiritual journey. You know, look back just for a couple of minutes to when the founders of AA got together. Dr. Bob, Bill W., the early founders. And it started in such a simple principle. There were just two hurting people trying to handle things all by themselves. And then they came together one day and they said, let's help each other. And with the grace of God in this program, for one day, they were able to do what they had to do. Then they said, try for another day. A little bit at a time, things began to happen. Then they decided to go to a psychiatric hospital and kind of try this thing out on another drunk, the third guy in the program. And then from there it grew. Isn't it funny how that works? See, it's all based on faith. It was based on trust. It was based on knowing that somehow, some way, if we just are able to trust one another, to have trust in a God of our understanding, trust in something more powerful, there's always learning and growing for the people around us. That's why I truly believe today that nobody comes into your life by accident. We are connected with each other today for a purpose. Everybody comes into our lives for a purpose. And so we got to be open to that, open to learn, open to grow, open to new things and new directions. And yet that's not easy, because so many times in life, I want to be comfortable. I don't want to take risks. I don't want to move forward. I want to be able to sit back in my little cocoon. But that's not life. That's not living. That's almost like existing. We have to be able to realize the fact that there's always something new, something to be experienced, something to move forward on. But you're different than me. Don't we always fight it first? Isn't that amazing? We have to fight everything, battle everything, struggle with everything, and then finally come to acceptance. Because that's part of the change process and the grieving process. Nothing happens magically or overnight, because we're human. We have these human capacities inside of us where basically I want to be able to handle these things. I want to be able to be in charge of it. How many times have we tried to fix another human being and realized the fact that it doesn't work? I realize today, and I know God works in mysterious ways. I use the term God because that's my term. But the concept is, I really believe the higher presence works in mysterious ways. I remember in 1976, I told you this last week, when a gentleman I met in AA, beautiful gentleman, took me to a meeting called the Mustard Seed and planted that idea in my head. But see, what he really was doing was setting me up. See, I told Norm afterwards, I says, you're a little con artist, Norman. You set me up, didn't you? The next day, he took me to a meeting of 6 people in St. Luke's Hospital. And at the meeting, people told me I was going to start a program called Starting Point. Isn't that wonderful? I didn't even know what it was. And yet, he's saying to me, you're the man, you're going to do it. And don't ask me why. I mean, I could have ran out of that room. I could have said, you people are crazy, you're nuts. But what did I do? For some reason, I know it's a spiritual thing. For some reason, I was able to say, okay, I'll try it. That's the beginning of acceptance. So I realized today, I took something I was starting to learn. I wasn't there yet. And I said, I'll try it. And then moving forward, it was scary. But then I learned something. If you have faith, you truly trust, you're truly open, and you accept the fact that you're not in charge, then the miracles start to happen. You never know where they're going to come from. I remember at the house, I told you we didn't have a lot of stuff. And someone arrived at our front door, knocked on the door. I never met the man before. He asked me what I needed. I told him what I needed. He gave us a check for $10,000. But he said to me, tell nobody where it came from. I'm giving back for the good stuff that God has given me. It's always that giving back, that sharing, that connecting. So if we try to hold on to stuff, it dies. If we learn to share it and connect it with others, it begins to grow. And that's why the important part of these principles are, we have to have faith and trust that something's guiding us, something's there, something more powerful. And that goes for every aspect of our life. I don't care what it is. And that's where you have to almost become a person of faith, because acceptance, faith, and trust are the foundations of everything we do in life. They are the greatest of spiritual principles. And so as a result, then I have to begin to believe that things will be okay. Even when we're going through things physically, your body is going to start some process of breaking down once in a while. You're going to go through physical changes. You're going to go through sickness. Last time I checked, maybe you're different than me. You can let me know or not. I don't know, Gordon, maybe, but anyway, I know that they're basically, we all got a round trip ticket. Congratulations. I haven't met anybody yet who doesn't. And one day, the second half gets punched. We're going to go through a lot of turmoil during the course of this journey. And yet sometimes we have to look at the fact that even though things we go through, we may not like and be painful and scary, things like loss, someone leaving us, someone dying. This past weekend, I experienced, a gentleman I'm very close to, he got news that his nephew committed suicide. His nephew had a major addiction problem. And as a result, then he did what he did. And as a result, then all of a sudden you ask the question, why? You'll never get the answer to that question. So the bottom line is we go through these losses. I see this happen so many times in life. And yet somehow, some way, in time, in God's time, with a sense of faith, we get through things in life. We come to the other side. But we have to be able to believe that we can make it to the other side. We have to be open to that. If we're not, and we close down, then we shut down while we're still alive. You know what I find so sad? That so many people are dead while they're alive. What that means is they basically have withdrawn from life. They're going through the functions of life. And even when the undertaker comes, they don't even cooperate with him. It's amazing. So the bottom line is, that's not how life is supposed to be. With faith and trust in something greater than ourselves, there's so much we can experience and go through. But I've learned in my own life that when I finally stopped trying to control everything and organize everything and be in charge of everything, all of a sudden doors opened. Beyond my wildest dreams, my wildest imagination. I never thought I'd be able to write books. I never thought I'd be able to do some of the things I did in the course of my journey in life. It's amazing. It's amazing. And yet I look back and I say there were messengers in my life that came to me and helped me through this whole process and taught me things. But yet I had to be able to have faith and believe that somehow, some way, everything will find its way. We do the footwork. Do the best you can every day. Don't be too hard on yourself. Take a break. I know I'm no different than you. The one person I was always the hardest on was me. I was always scared. I was always afraid. I was always, what's going to find out? What's going to happen? But I'm learning today. Take it easy. Just have faith, have trust. They're the principles that will take you on the journey of where you're supposed to go. I get a kick out of this sometimes. I talked to a lady the other day, and she's 23, 24, 20, I don't know, in that area, the middle 20s. She said to me, "What's my problem, Vince?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, I can't find anybody. I keep searching and searching and searching, trying to find somebody. Help me. How can I find somebody?" I said, "Well, I don't have anybody here I can do it, but look," I said, "Listen to me." I said, "Stop looking. Let go. Have a sense of faith and trust. And just go on your own journey. You go on the journey of taking care of you. Just work on you. Then everything else will come to you, but it will come in God's time, not in your time." I don't think she liked the answer. But basically, I realized today it's true. I see in my own life, I never believed half the things will come into my life that came into my life, but they had to come later. They had to come when they were supposed to come. I hear this all the time. Well, why didn't I find this stuff out back when I was 20 years old? Because you weren't supposed to. You find it out when you're supposed to find it out. And some people will find it out when they're 20 and 22. And maybe later on, they have to reinforce it in new different ways. I don't know. I'm grateful to a lot of young people. We have 2 young therapists at our place. came through the ranks. They never believed that things would go where they're going today in their lives. They've made so much growth, it's just unbelievable. And yet, they come back to me and they say, Vince, you were right. It did happen when it was supposed to happen. So I'm really sorry I beat myself up trying to make it happen faster. You know, it's amazing sometimes because even simple little things like handicaps, an illness or a sickness comes into our life. We try not to let it happen. I want to get rid of it real quick. But then there's something that happens. Everything kind of happens when it's supposed to happen. It's amazing, isn't it? This happened to me just recently because I have to go see, I think it's called a lung doctor, pulmonologist, whatever it is, and or my compulsiveness. When they wanted me to go see it, I said, well, can I go tomorrow? So I called the first one up, not till June 20th. Called the second one up, the end of the month. I called the third guy up. He's taking me next week. But you know what's so powerful about this? What's the difference? You have no control over that. It's amazing. But I learned in life, you don't know what's going to happen. And so your journey is daily. It's one day at a time. It's one day at a time with God's help. It's one day at a time with the journey that you're on. And you'll learn more about yourself, about your body, about people around you. What's so beautiful is it comes back to those three principles. I've got to accept the reality of who I am. We are exactly who we are supposed to be, and we are where we are in our journey in life today. And if we continue working on ourselves, then that journey will continue and we'll move forward to where we're supposed to go. But it comes down to acceptance. But acceptance is spiritual, it's not intellectual. It's very easy intellectually to say, yes, I accept it. But then you have to be able to build a relationship with it. I learned this so many times from people that suffer from major illness, people that suffer from real serious stuff. How they said to me, Vince, I fought this, I battled it, I didn't want it. But then I learned something after a while, how to come to build a relationship with it, to accept it. A good friend of mine who's a paraplegic, I knew him before he had the accident that he had. And then after he had the accident, he was pretty well messed up. And now he, is in a wheelchair. He does different types of things. He needs a lot of help. But the beautiful thing was, it took him a long time. He was pretty angry. He carried that anger inside of him for a long time. Until finally he came to me one day when I was talking to him, and he said, Vince, I got to stop fighting this. This is my body. It's mine. I got to be able to embrace it. I've been fighting so hard trying to figure out how I could change it. I was figuring, why did it happen? That word why drove me crazy for a long period of time. And then you realize something. You finally came to that moment of acceptance. And that's the thing I try to explain to people. Nobody can explain the moment of acceptance. Come to you when it's supposed to. Like the reading said today, it comes in God's time, not in our time. And the bottom line is, we're going to fight, we're going to battle, we're going to struggle. That's who we are. But eventually we'll wear down, we'll start surrendering, we'll be able to accept the powerlessness, and finally, we'll come to a relationship with it. Everything in life is about a relationship with self and with others. And so I've learned over the years that if I truly have a sense of belief, if I truly do live with a sense of faith, trust, realize the fact I'm not in charge. That is the hardest thing in the world to do, by the way. You know that? To realize the fact you're not in charge. God, that's scary. Because so many of us want to be in charge of our life, in charge of this, in charge of that, but we're not. We're on a journey. Just how precious this life is, because guess what? You can be where you are today. You can be gone tomorrow. A good friend of mine this past weekend, I experienced 3 deaths this weekend. A good friend of mine, was having supper with his family. Everything was peaceful, everything was serene. They had a nice supper, they sat around, they visited. After supper, he said to his son, I'm feeling a little dizzy. He said, maybe I better go sit down. So the son helped him. He went and sat down in his chair. The rest of the family went on with their stuff and everything else, and he kind of fell asleep. But then later on, they went over to tell him something, and they couldn't wake him up. He died. Nobody expected it. That's why I said life is so precious. We have today. You can spend the rest of your life going back over the past. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? I should have did this. I should have did that. I made it. Yesterday is over. It's done. Heal from yesterday. Move forward. Live in this moment, in this day. Appreciate all the little things that are around you. Appreciate the gift of life. Appreciate the fact that we're together with each other right now. Appreciate the little things we can say to one another. And because we don't know about tomorrow. If you wake up tomorrow, you start with gratitude again, work on more acceptance, and see what happens. I remember my grandson one time, because I was in one of my controlling moods, and I was really angry because I was going to take him to see some trains and different types of things, and the weather didn't cooperate. It was pouring rain outside. And I was standing there aggravated, frustrated, everything else in the line. And my little 7-year-old grandson grabbed my hand and he said, Papa, don't worry. The sun's still shining on the other side of the clouds. Children have this simplicity about them, but it's true. Sure, it might be cloudy out there right now, but the sun is still shining. And so we have to learn, we got to have clouds. Can't always have sun. Remember that. But I think sometimes we think we want everything to be okay all the time. It's not going to be. We're going to have mood swings. We're going to go through changes. Some days you're going to feel like saying, goodbye, I'm done. Other days, you're ready to roll. It's amazing, isn't it? We do things we never did before. Somebody was telling me earlier, they rode the subway in New York. It's fantastic. That's an adventure. Congratulations. Peg did a good job on that. It's fantastic. But the bottom line is, we always can try something new, go a new experience, go through different things. I'm glad you didn't get mugged. Congratulations. But it was great. We learn all these things in life when we go through them. We change different things. Another good friend of mine is going to go on a walk. Good God, was it 500 miles? 500-mile walk in Spain. I said 500 miles, well, not on me. But, it's adventure. That's what it's all about. We all need this in our life. And that's where I have to come to an acceptance of the fact that, hey, I'm on this earth. As I said earlier, I'm on this side of the dirt. Things are okay. I'm doing good. Do the best you can. Learn something new. Be open to a new adventure. The adventure might not be something big, like my two friends did, but it might be a little thing. It might just be going out of your comfort zone for a couple of minutes. Know that you'll be led. Bring something with you. Bring the gift of your faith with you. Believe. Everything always works out. I've been around Starting Point now for 44 years. And I say this all the time. Don't worry. Everything will always work out. And it always does. It's amazing, isn't it? Through the whole entire pandemic, we stayed open. It's amazing. I don't know. We don't know where half the money came from. We have fun. What can I tell you? The doors are still open. Things are still happening. God takes care of things. Things work out. I know it puts a lot of work on Loretta, but things do work out. But they always work out at one time or another. Isn't it amazing? Come down to it. I find this out so much because, we can look at things and, what you got to do is read the newspaper or watch the news. If you want to get the press, two good things to do. But the bottom line is, there's always good stuff out there too. I said this a long time ago. It's sad. The only people that make the newspaper are heroes or goats. You either got to do something unbelievably fantastic to make the paper, or you got to get in trouble. People that live normal, everyday, simple lives, to wake up every day, do the best they can do, enjoy the people around them, the simple little things around them, and learn to appreciate them and be grateful. Just be grateful for the fact that these people are in my life. I have so much gratitude today, to the recovery program, to my wife's family, to the people around me, to what's left of my family. But I'm also very grateful to all those people that have gone before me. We got to begin the day with gratitude and try our best, even though it might be hard. That's why they said earlier in the reading, sometimes we got to remember there are persons, places, things, and situations in life that we may not like. We have to learn how to accept them, embrace them, learn from them, and grow from them. That's what's important. And yet, I know it's not easy. I don't want it to be easy. See, growth is not supposed to be easy. You heard the phrase growing pains? You go to a gym, they got this big sign up there that says no pain, no gain. Everything in life has a struggle involved in it, a growth process involved in it. But if we look at life with the fact that I've got to accept the reality of what is in front of me. Here's what I can do, here's what I can't do. As you get older, things change. Your body can't do some of the things it did before. Your body goes through changes. Congratulations. It's all part of it. Right here in Holiday City where I live, we have a gentleman, his name is Lou. He's 102 years old. And I love him. I saw him the other day walking into the diner, and he walks with a cane. And when he saw me, he said, "Hi, Vince, how's it going?" 102 years old. I said, "Not as good as you, Lou. But bottom line is, he's still doing the best he can do every day. And he tries to smile, does the best he can, one day at a time. We don't know. I really admire that. We had another guy that was in his late 90s, 97 or 98. He would come into the gym at our clubhouse, and he had a walker. He'd come in with the walker, get on the bike, and he would pedal I guess about half a mile an hour, just boom, 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 boom. And he'd pedal away and smile and yak with us and talk with us. And so I really think they would say, "I'm just so happy I'm here. I'm happy I can still drive. I'm happy just to be able to walk in here and do what I can do." And I love those kinds of people in my life because they have a sense of faith. They have a sense of trust. They're open, and they're still be able to look at other people, and they can share stuff that's going on. We have to learn the importance of these principles. The spiritual principles are based on developing a good sense of ourselves as a person. That's why I love the steps, because the principles of the steps are the principles of life. Even the early founders, I find it amazing when they had their convention and put this stuff together. They didn't know what they were doing. There had to be a higher power, somebody guiding them. Look at the 12 steps, look at the traditions, look at the big book. All that stuff was put together by a bunch of struggling people. So that something divine was involved in that. Something special was involved in that. And everything is based around faith and trust. Yes, disappointment will come, loss will come, pain will come, struggle will come. That's called the journey of life. But if I face that journey with these principles next to me, if I realize the fact that somehow, some way in time, with God's help, I can come to an acceptance of what is, what I can do and what I can't do, then I'm able to move forward. But acceptance always comes at a price. You have to work at it. And the same thing goes as regards a sense of faith. We have to walk with faith, do the best we can do every day because we don't know. And then also try our best to trust, turn things over, and allow ourselves to say those magical words every day. Help me. Reach out to one another. Don't try to do it by yourself. That's a codependent disease. Do everything by yourself. No. We need one another. We need each other. We need to be connected to each other. We got to pick that phone up. We got to call people. We got to talk to people. We got to say, help. Give me some guidance. Let's work together. And the biggest thing in the world is being able just to work together. You know, I love calling my sponsor and just sitting down and talking and just sharing and working together. You're not alone. Isn't that great? It's wonderful. And it means that we all have it. We're all connected to one another. I always said, you know, we're all sponsors of one another. That's what it really comes down to. We're all interconnected with each other. We're all part of one another. And yes, sure, we do the best we can do. But we realize the fact, don't try to do it alone. Loneliness is scary. Aloneness, we need some of that. But loneliness can drive you into a pit. You need to be able to be connected, to be out there. We live in a world, we live with people. Celebrate them. Now, I told you this before, I go to the gym every morning at the clubhouse here. And I meet a bunch of five other guys. We meet there at the gym in the morning. And they are a bunch of characters, you know, and we talk about everything under the book. Most of the time they talk about how nice it was back in, you know, in the 40s and 50s and all that kind of stuff and everything else. They always want to go back. And I keep telling them, stay here. And they keep going, we go back and we have a lot of fun. But the beautiful part about it is we're just a bunch of human beings. We're going through our own changes. And we cut each other up. We have a good time. We laugh. We cry. And the one guy who's 87 years old said, you know, I told my doctor, what keeps me going, what keeps me alive is coming here every morning, being around people I can laugh, I can kid with, but also knowing they got my back if I need something. That's something we should all be able to say on the journey of recovery. There's always somebody's got our back. We need people to have our back to help us through the process. I don't want to live life alone. I mean, I look forward to seeing you guys all the time because, you know, you're family. We're all family to one another. We're connected to each other. I mean, I got plenty of brothers and sisters. It's fantastic. I'm an only child with tons of brothers and sisters. What can I tell you? It's fantastic. It's beautiful. I got younger sisters. I got older sisters. I don't know if I got any older ones, but I got younger ones. But I got brothers and sisters that are fantastic. That's what it's really all about. And so try to learn that somehow, some way, the God of our understanding is working inside of each and every one of us. But these are the foundations. Work with the foundations. Build them inside of ourselves. Acceptance, surrender, powerlessness. Isn't it great the fact we're powerless with so many things in life? Surrender. Surrender to the things you have to surrender to. And come to an acceptance. Come to a sense of peace with who you are and what you are. Have a sense of faith. Believe that something's guiding us. Whatever you want to call it, you can call it. Any name you want to call it, doesn't make a difference. Whatever works for you. Great spirit, higher spirit, universe, higher presence, doesn't make any difference. What's important is we're on a journey. We have to have faith on this journey. Faith keeps you moving. And then we have to trust each other, but above all, trust the God of our understanding that will guide us where we're supposed to go. But always remember, with patience, with kindness, that somehow, some way, we'll be led where we're supposed to be led. And just try to be open to it as we do it. And so my prayer today is that each and every one of us will be open to God's spirit, the God of our understanding spirit, and be open to that spirit which is inside of each and every one of us. And realize the fact we're on a journey. Each person's journey is unique. That's one of the reasons why I love going to meetings, because what do? I get to hear everybody else's story and I get to share mine. It's the greatest library on the face of this earth. Other people's stories. What a great library. Isn't it fantastic? Because we all have a book in process of being written. Some of us just have a few chapters, some have plenty of chapters. What can I tell you? But that's okay. We share them with each other because every one of your experiences will help another person's experience. That's what's important. So don't be shy. Do the best you can do and go from there. Always be open to that trust. So let us pray. God, we come before you today in prayer. We come before you in gratitude. We come before you in faith and love. We ask you to guide us and be with us and help us. Help us to overcome each and every one of the obstacles we have to overcome in ourselves and in life. Help us to realize that somehow, some way, there are great lessons for us to learn. Help us to embrace even our handicaps, things we can't do, but teach us just to be open and know if we come to an acceptance of who we are, an acceptance of life, an acceptance and a sense of faith that somehow we'll be guided where we're supposed to go. And so we pray and we ask this, and we trust that you will be there with us and guide us on the journey. We thank you very especially for those who have gone before us, for those we have lost, for those that are not part of us physically, but they're part of us spiritually. We pray and ask you to bless them and guide them and realize we don't want to forget them. Teach us to take the gifts we've been given, the things that we have, and pass them on to others. And from that, we'll continue to grow spiritually. We pray and we ask this every day. We pray this in your name. Amen. And now I'm going to ask if you don't mind unmuting, we're going to make a strong attempt to say the Serenity Prayer together.
God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done.